I got a Colibri lighter here, quartz lighter. Looks to be in new condition. It's trying to light, got a good igniter in it, so don't know how old this lighter is, but it definitely looks brand new, and I'm pretty sure that it just needs a good service. Doesn't matter how new a lighter is, folks. It's been sitting 20, 30, 40 years. It's going to need a service. Yeah, that thing's brand new. Brand new. I forgot my, hold on a second. I was using my magnifiers out in the other room there earlier. I can't see anything without these. Okay. Anyway, go ahead and that. Just going to remove this little screw. Get me some small to get it with. Right there. Now we're just going to remove this. Gotta give me enough room to get this back and out of the way. There we go. I'm not going to mess with this Piezo, guys. I'm just going to leave it right where it's at. Don't want to mess with these Piezos. This will work or not. Not this. Sometimes it's just easier to break it loose. good. It's not plugged up. This definitely needed replaced. There we go. Knocked it out of there. All right. Guessing offhand, I'm going to say this one here. It's a little too small. It's a little too small. 0.5, 1.9. One point five. I'm gonna have to use, I think, the 1.5. Well, let's try the one. One looks small. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. Nothing's ever simple. Nothing is ever simple. So I'm going to put a little bit of a flare on the end of that. Help get that started. That might work a little better. Spend forever today trying to get that thing in there. I'm just going to try this one. Try this. Yeah, I've cut a little bit more of that tail off there. See, this is the problem when you don't have regular parts that you can just grab out, put it in there. This is the kind of stuff that I have to deal with on every lighter. Sometimes I plan ahead, but something that should have took me less than a second is going to take me minutes. Plus it's fairly hot in here. I'll see if I can find me something smaller to work with here. This is why sometimes, believe it or not, I just want to call it a day. You just get tired of fighting things. I'm going to go off on this until I can get that in. My video's going to end up being too long and I'll run out of space. Alright, I got this part rebuilt. Stopper in the bottom. Ended up using a 1.5 and cut the tail off a little bit. Now what I need to do is got to remove the flame adjustment parts. Okay, the brass rod, which the sponge is usually on the end of the brass rod, stuck in there as usual. There we go. See? Sponge on the end of it. I'll tell you what, it just don't even look good. And I know this lighter hasn't seen much use. You can tell that just because of the cleanliness of the now it's real white. It's never had much use on it at all. So anyway, going to clean. I think basically why this sponge is messed up is because what ruins this up more than anything is these guys get these lighters. You know, they sit on the shelf in their display for years, and next thing you know, the butane messes up the filter. It's like 3mm. That's the size of sponge I'm going to use. These are a little bit thicker, but it doesn't matter. I've got a hole in them. I always use sponges with a hole in them. That way a sponge gets plugged up in dirty butane, you'll still get gas through one part of it, through the center. Pretty clean. Pretty clean. Now, sponge is still on edge. why you gotta double check these and make sure that your sponge is positioned flat like it should be. There we go. You can even see a hole down in there. See the light? Lines up good. So now what we do is we just put this rod, and I cleaned off in first. That part's done. I can go ahead, and since this is rebuilt, I can go ahead and stick this on, screw it in. Tighten that down a little bit with there we go. Now what we need to do here is cut these O-rings off. See if I can pry them up here a little bit. Yeah, they're pretty brittle. Pretty brittle, but okay. Now we got outer diameter of 4 millimeter. I'm going to say that cord's not too thick. Let's see here. 0.8. Okay. We'll get a 4. We're close to it. I think it's 3.6. My 0.8 will work. That looks good. Let's get in here and see what we have. some small O-rings, but look how I got these here. Yeah, they're just past the metal itself. It's just what you want. This one just past the metal. This is what I call the maximum flame height adjustment screw. All I might do is to get kind of an idea the thickness, you know, of these. Just helps me out a little bit. 0.6, 0.7. You don't even have to measure them. You always want to measure outside this. 2.49. 2.5 by 7. Well, we got a 2.54 by 7.3. I'm thinking that's going to be about as good as you can get. For what we needed. This might be a little bit easier. I would say that's perfect. Right there's what I got. And these are 2.54 by 0.73. But they actually it says 2.8 by 0.9 when I got them. Sometimes when I order, I found out when I order off them websites in China to get these O-rings that the sizes ain't exactly you know, what they state they are. So you'll want to measure them out yourself, because it does make a difference. It looks a little much, but it's gotta work. Yeah, I think it'll work. I'm just gonna put a little O-ring grease around that, and it should help. I mean, I can always go with, if these are too big, I'll just go with the thinner cord size. Instead of, like, you know, the 7.3, you go to the 6 something. Well, I thought they were perfect, but I think they're too big. Yeah. Maybe. I'll just try to send it down in there with this. Yeah, might have to just screw me in. Just a second here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do smaller. .7 by 6. I'm going to try the 2.7 by 6. It's a little bit bigger in outer diameter, but it's got a smaller cord. Yep. Looked perfect, but it was just still just a shy too big. These could still be a little bit too big on the outer diameter, but they might compress a little bit better as far as squeezed them in there. I think they will, to be honest with you. I think they will. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now, just what I needed. Okay. Now, that fits in there snug, so that's good. That is good. That's good. Okay. Let's see. The only thing that needs to be done now is these Colibri filler valves. They're just, phew, man. They're a headache at best. Yes, they are. They are a headache at best. Sometimes I've caught myself having to modify them. I'm not doing it. 5.8. I think I use a 5.8. I usually use I think an 01 on that. This 5/01, 5mm OD. Stretch it out a little bit, and it'll work. Okay, that's done. All right. Usually. See how these seals are on these? They're kind of tapered. See how they're tapered? Well, I just usually put a regular O-ring back on there. And like this one here, it was hard. It didn't flex a bit, it was hard. I can't remember how thick these are. I know they're not very thick. 0.6. Here will work. 0.2. Let's see, what are these? That's 3. Now, let me find another one here. I think I used a 1x3 on these, if I remember right. That'd be a 1x1x1. They're a little bit thicker than I like, but they got the outer diameter. Make sure that you plug the hole up on the inside here. Let me see how that does. Yeah. Actually, it took. I'm going to have to do something else. I want to show you something here when I did that. See the pin? Pin needs to be protruding further past that rubber. because that uses a adapter like this that's off center. See, the hole in this is off center. So when it pushes on the pin, it pushes on the pin, and when you push the pin down, butane goes around this pin here, bends the valves open, then pass the valve into the tank. So even though that's the right outer diameter, I'll have a hard time filling it. And that's the reason why I don't like these type of valves. I mean, to me, they're just a poor design. The rest of the lighters are great, but past that, you know, everything's great but that filler valve. Don't ask me why they do stuff like that, but they do. See, these got too big of an inner diameter. That's why I wouldn't really want to use this, so I gotta find something else. What do I do with them? 6. Might have to go up to an 8. I think I'm gonna go up to an 8mm OD. And try to find the 2.5. These are 07s anyway. No, these are 08s. What we got here? I put the 08s on the 07 side there. Try to keep these straight because this will probably be as good as I can get. These 2.73 by 254. I think this one's going to be the best I can get because it looks like it's going to hold around the. They got a seal around that shaft pretty good, guys. You don't want them loose around that shaft. I think these will be okay. Let's see if we got enough clearance here. We got a little bit more. We got a little bit more. But the question is, do we have enough? Do we have enough to use this? That's the question. One way to find out. Yeah. We're getting butane out, so we're good. Alright, we're good there. That's the size 2.54 by 073. Now, when I got these, I think they were maybe 2.5 by 8 or something like that. Like I said, that's why you want to go with the different sizes and cord thicknesses and stuff, because you know what they get you is might not necessarily be what they send you, might not measure like what they you know, it's on their website. So it is what it is. You work with what you got. All right, we're going to call that good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stick this through here. Open that up. I usually stick these through from the back, but I don't want to bend that Piezo wire. I just don't. Well, come on, there we go. Today I got the shakes. I'm going to bend the Piezo wire a little bit. It'll be all right. I think I'm going to run into trouble now. Yeah, I'm going to run into trouble. I want you to see what's wrong here. Can you see what's wrong? You see, I have to lift up on this to get that through. Just a second here. No, I got the wrong end. No, I don't. I got the right end. Okay. Show you something here. That's how it's supposed to go on this valve, but this valve had to come up for me to get this on. When that happens, okay, when that happens, you can't get this on. What that means is your stopper's too short. All right, it's too short. So what that means is I got to come out here and take this out again and put another stopper in there. See? Tell you what I'm going to do that too. I'm going to do a quick one on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a rubber stopper out of here. Find the right thickness. Give me a minute. I'm digging. Okay. What I'm going to do is, I got that stopper laying down there on the table, right? What I'm going to do is put some of this right on that other stopper, super glue. The super glue, I used to have to do this when I had to make my own tails and my own heads on these stoppers when I couldn't buy them. Okay. All right. Now what? We'll just stick it back in here. We might tighten that down. We'll be able to tell if we got the clearance now or not. Alright, see the clearance? Now let's see what we got here. There we go. Fits right in there. So get that in there like it's supposed to go in there. Put that back through there like that. We're good there. And we put this back in there. Screw that in. Good there. Then we'll come back with this. Give me a second here. It's a matter of getting a little bit of a spring load off there to get this in there the way you want it to go. All right. That's good. That's good. Now what we want to do is put everything back down in here. Okay. Now, the test. You gotta bleed the tank, guys. Take out a valve or a filler valve, you're gonna have air in the tank. Alright? Gotta bleed the tank. There we go. Just a second here. Let's see if we got anything. Yeah, we got too high of a flame for what we got. Okay, so what we need to do is just screw that down a little bit here. Yeah, let me, well, there's high. Okay. Well, that ain't bad. Try to bring it out a little more. It doesn't want a light on that high setting, but let me turn down a hair bit. There we go. I'm going to move this down a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to turn that up a little bit more. Might be too high. That's about as high as I want it. I'm going to go with that, but I'm going to move that up a little bit higher. There's a sweet spot on these wires, guys. That's why you don't have to, don't move them, but I got in there and worked on it, you know, unscrewing that valve. Obviously I moved it. What I'm going to do is let this set for a little bit and time it. timed where it's igniting every time. Okay, it's not doing it there. We'll go up. That's good. Now I'm going to just set this down just a little bit. Yeah. And my regular flame adjustment screw will be there. Alright guys. I'll double check it after it sits a while. And make sure the gas in the tank is stabilized good. Then I'll double check everything and let it sit overnight for a day or two, making sure there isn't any leaks before I send it back to the gentleman. There it is, guys. This is Colibri, Japan. This is a very nice, looks like a pewter or sterling. Brushed sterling. I don't know, but it's nice. It's very nice. That's it.